Coming to you live from Music City, USA, it's Nashville Entertainment Weekly. I'm Chris Burks, along with your host, TJ Cates and Jill Santibanez, who are in the invitation-only studio high atop the city, overlooking everything that is Nashville entertainment.
Hey everybody, this is TJ Cates with Nashville Entertainment Weekly. We're coming to you on a rainy weekday in the city of Nashville, but we're finding musicians everywhere. Who are we talking to?
The musicians falling out of the sky here, just like raindrops. I'm Randy Finch. I'm glad to be here, TJ.
All right, man. Good to see you.
Brother.
We met about 5 years ago, and I think I met you at the Row. You were doing a music
night. At the Row,
there.
yes. We had a music night.
You were there with a lot of people, and that was before I even started the show or did any of TMZ or anything. I was just out there with my camera, and it was my first, walks around the music nights, and I was hearing the incredible music, and I was hearing the stories behind the music, and you're a big part of it, man.
That's the beauty of Nashville, and I'm a Nashville native, and I've got to be around this for all of my life, and especially my adult years, and it never gets old to hear those hit songwriters play those songs, and they don't play them, pristinely or perfectly, but they play them with a heart, and they're talking, when they almost talking the lyrics, and it just gives you the chills. Gives me the chills just thinking about it. But that's the joy of Nashville.
It is.
I'm glad you got to sample that.
That's what we try to do at Nashville Entertainment Weekly, is show our fans from around the world when they come to Nashville to don't just go to the key places that you see on the brochures when it's your hotel room. Yeah. Get out there and go find the original music and support these people. And you're going to find artists that you've never heard of. And sometimes they're here for a year, sometimes they're here for the rest of their life.
Yeah, oh gosh,
but you find people all the way. Where do you find people? I've always been curious.
Well, are you in the networking?
You seem to find the most incredible artists.
Well, in the networking realm, I've been very blessed. I think if you make yourself available when you come to town, if you go to these things, at least initially, go to as many as you can.
As many as you can.
Hook up with a group, hook up with people you like to write with, and start writing with them, hanging with them, playing different gigs with them. Then your path will become more so defined, and you will grow in your writing and grow in your vision of what you want to do. If that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. We tell people, I know you're very prideful when you're playing. You live in Wisconsin or North Dakota, South Dakota, Maine, or something like that, and you're kind of the big deal at your small town. But when you come to Nashville, you've got to realize that there's big, talented people, and it needs to bring you up a level. And you're not going to realize that moving your apartment, waiting for somebody to come sign you to a deal. You got to get out there, and you never know who you're going to meet.
Yes.
But I think the cool thing about you is your belief system, which I really admire, and your work ethic, which I totally admire. And I think it's really important to surround people by like-minded people that actually came here to work.
Yes, I've been blessed with them big time. People who inspire me and make me want to be a better writer and be a better person. One time, what you were just saying, I heard Barbara Cloyd, I believe, one of the jewels of Nashville,
she
hit
is.
songwriter. She said Nashville is the NFL of songwriting. I believe that's what was her personal quote. And it sure is. And the thing is, when you get here, it will bring out the best in you because it will have to. Be in it for the long haul, let it soak in, and you're going to be surprised a couple years from now, the songs you're writing compared to what you come to town with. You're guaranteed to be amazed if you give yourself time to be amazed.
That's great advice,
you can do.
man. What do you think? Everybody comes here, and sometimes they seem like they find a place to stay for a month or two. Then they sign a 12-month lease, and after that, they didn't make it big, so they give up and go home. What encouragement would you give people to stay in it for the long haul? That's a great way to put it.
Set little goals for yourself that are attainable, that make you want to hang in there a little longer. Because if you just give yourself, and music is probably the most frustrating career path to take because there's no one manual to do it. Every story is different. But as in music, as in life, set little goals to keep you going on the journey, to something that will keep you going through the ups and downs. If you get a fan that really loves that one song that you write and they come up and tell you, oh gosh, I love that song, remember that when that publisher turns you down, because the next one may not. There's so many more. Where do I begin with all this? Hang in there. Hang in there.
That's a good one.
Persevere. Every success story you're going to hear, that time they almost gave up. I bet you if you talk to Blake Shelton, he'll probably tell you about that time he almost gave up. And I
interviewed Bobby Braddock one time. I just happened to be at George and Timmy Wynette's daughters, and she's one of our fans, and we thank the world of her. But we were out there, and I saw Bobby, and he's just this little guy over there leaning against the wall. He's there to support his daughter, and I'm like. And I said, "Is that Bobby?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Do you think there's any way I can talk to him?" He said, "Oh yeah." Well, I started this conversation, and he starts talking. I'm like, would you ever so mind if I turn that camera on and we talk about it? He said, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
So we email him. I think he emails everybody in town. That's his way of communicating. But like the things that he said about Blake and, don't give up, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Jeannie Seeley was on our show one time, and she had so many words of wisdom. And one of her things was to caution young artists is when you get a song and it sounds great and you think it's great. And Sylvia, I think she was on her show too, and they both had that same conversation. Don't write a 15-minute song, pop it on the internet and say, get it and work on it and
Yes.
take your time. And you're a songwriter, so you must definitely have, and people come to you to just co-write so much.
Speaking about hanging in there, I was 41 before I ever played the Bluebird as an invited guest. I was in my 40s before I ever got my first cut.
Nice. Well, you got a cut. That's a step above.
It takes a while. There was a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of growth. I look back at those songs I used to think were just awesome, and I, they still got a lot of sentimental value to me, but I still had some learning to do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When you go around town like this, be ready to run into a Bobby Braddock or a Tommy Barnes or
They're
a
out
Gerald
there, y'all.
Smith,
They're just
the hit writer that you can get this advice from.
We went on the red carpet one day, and not to talk about myself, I just want to share my experiences. We're on the red carpet of the Nashville Film Festival of places, and we had a list of people that are going to be there, and they had that song, It All Begins With a Song documentary. And I just went, and I like the edge of the red carpet. Some people like the middle, where all the big stars come to you first. It's like, no, I like the end because you get more time with them.
Yeah.
Steven Tyler gave us so much time. Well,
Awesome.
I'm sitting there, it was Mother's Day weekend, and it was at the Malco right around the corner, or not the Malco, the Regal, I forget what city I'm in. And I was going, and Mac Davis walks up,
Oh, yeah.
of all people, the songwriter. And I'm like, I recognize him, North Dallas 40 in his movies and
Yes.
stuff. And I'm like, hey, man, what's up? He said, I got to go to the bathroom. I said, that's cool. When you get through, can you come right there and listen? He did an interview, and it was great because what a big songwriter.
Yes.
Dude, in Nashville, you've got to get out. Get off that couch.
Get out.
Put down that fireball. Don't go drinking tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Go out there and drink your water, stay fresh, and listen to songwriters. Learn from them.
Yeah.
And look in the crowd because they're out there.
Yes.
These people love music, and they want to just come in the back door and watch them.
Yeah, don't cut away and go home. Get you
Drink
a
some
job or
coffee,
something
people.
that you like. Something that's close to the music if you can. Something you like. Get out there every night, at least initially, but get out there consistently and learn how to learn and learn how to be amazed. Give yourself a chance to see what you can do. Don't say I'm happy as being where I'm at right now, because the marvelous thing about us being human beings, let alone songwriters, we can always learn something more.
Yeah.
There's always more room to download things up here and here.
If you keep your mind clear, there's open space.
Yes, sir.
Okay, with Barbara Cloyd at the Bluebird, was she there when you played the
wasn't.
first
She
time? That
there,
was
guy.
before.
Yeah, I got actually invited back. Scott Southworth, the Music Row show, WSM. He invited me, and that was the first time, other
What
than
was-
the open mic.
Putting your hand on that door and knowing that you're walking in there, what was that like?
That was awesome. I got to play, and I sat down. This was back in just 2014. And I remember sitting there looking before I got up on stage, looking right after us. I think Skip Ewing was going to play.
Skip Ewing.
Oh yeah, the hit machine, Skip Ewing. But I got to play with Scott Southworth, Randy Brooks.
Yeah.
Grandma got run over by
By
a
a
reindeer.
reindeer, yeah.
So I got to get up there with Bill DeLuigi,
funny
one of
what's
my
in your
favorite
head.
writers, also, and Scott, which is a great guy.
Cool.
But it was cool to be there. And,
We watched a movie on Netflix the other day. Jill had taped it, and it was Sandra Bullock and a couple different actors, and they filmed it in 1993.
Oh, yes.
They filmed it at the Bluebird.
Nashville.
That was kind of
Yeah.
cool. Well, we
That
saw
was
the
The
Green
Thing
Hills Mall
Called
was gone.
Love.
Do what?
The Thing Called Love.
You're
That was it, right?
You have total recall.
Yeah.
It's amazing talking.
Well,
about
I can't remember anything that happened yesterday, but I can remember 25 years ago with the best
Well, that's
of
why
it.
you're successful in your radio show. Now, what's your format on your radio?
Well, I do a few different radio shows. For a few years there, I did Nashville Night, which I had a few the clients from that you had on there, and had a great 2-year run on there. And now I do the New Music Showcase with Steve Robertson, the HLE Christian Country Countdown. It's a
Such a good guy.
syndicated. Oh, he's awesome. A syndicated radio show, and I do a segment on there. And found out right before we came in that Steve is nominated, as am I, for Radio Personality of the Year through the Inspirational Country Music Association.
Congratulations,
Their upcoming
man.
awards. Oh gosh, I'm
Well
amazed.
deserved.
Now, I want to get back to a songwriter show. I love doing the songwriter shows, much like the Nashville Night Show. Got a new show called Music City on the Mountain, which is going to air on WFMCJams.com. Part of the Nashville Songwriters Radio Network. Now, check out WFMCJams.com. You're going to hear a lot of live shows from around town. Those of you who are out there outside of Nashville that are thinking about moving here, you want to hear how the entry level or the songwriter circuit is in Nashville. Listen to WFMCJams.com. Every night of the week, they broadcast from the Commodore. They do
CMA qualifying stage.
Oh yes, they do from a few different locations around town. So many of them I can't remember them all, but every night of the week you're going to hear live songwriter music on there, up and comers and some hit writers.
I'll put their link up above, and if we're on television, it should be below us right now. So.
Well, our show, Music City on the Mountain, is going to be recorded at Jim Oliver's Smokehouse down in Monteagle, Tennessee,
Nice.
A little bit south of here. And it's going to air on the third Monday of the month on WFMCJams.com at 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. And I'm going to interview songwriters, hit songwriters,
Love it.
up and comers, and just the whole gamut. I'm putting the guest list together now, and
That's
it's like
great, man.
being a kid in a candy store.
Well, thanks for doing what you're doing for Nashville.
Hey, thank
I'm
you for
glad
doing
we-
what you do for Nashville.
Well, we're just trying to help, man.
Yeah.
I don't have the songwriting and the singing abilities that you do, and we're going to play some music for him right now. Let's play one of your songs. What do you want to play?
Let's do
Since you're here.
Well, we have there's a young man that was on American Idol. He's a Christian country artist that I've got to run across and got to write with. We wrote a song called Canaan Abel's Cove. We just signed a single song deal with Matt Lindsay Music. Great guy. I appreciate him believing
play
in this
with you?
song. And Isaac's going to play on this song with me because he does the guitar licks better than I do, thus being nominated for Musician of the Year. So I'm very proud of this song.
Exciting.
It's one of the best songs I've ever been a part of, and Isaac's great. So
That means a lot, what you just said. All right, y'all. Hang in here, and we're going to play some music. Randy Fitcham.
Hey, this is Randy Fincham with Isaac Cole, a song we wrote called Cain Abel's Cove. 1, 2, 3. They were two close brothers in a steel mill town in the Appalachian Mountains where the snow blows wild. Summertime sweeter than a honeysuckle bush in June. Fishing and hunting was the only things they did. Mama always said they were joined at the hip. They shared everything from their skull cans to their boots. They both fell in love, but one got married, and the jealousy drove his younger brother crazy. Spent every night at the bottom of a whiskey glass. Legend has it if you come out here in the woods this time of year, you can hear the gunshots in the wind. See the blood in the moonlight glow, see the footprints in the snow. You're in Cain Abel's Cove. Big brother's work took him out of town. He didn't know his young bride liked to run around till he came home early with roses and a bottle of wine. Curtains left open just a little bit was enough to show him what a fool he's been. With the porch light shining on his brother's truck in the drive. Instead of breaking that door down, he got in his car and drove back to town. Found a bar and a bottle and a way to get even with him. Legend has it if you come out here in the woods this time of year, you can hear the gunshots in the wind. See the mud in the moonlight glow, see the footprints in the snow. You're in Cain Abel's Cove. On a hunting trip heading to their deer stands, both brothers had the same evil plan, to kill the other and blame it on an accident. 2 shots rang out and both brothers fell. The tree saw it all, but they'll never tell how the cove got its name and their spirits still walk these hills. Legend has it if you come out here in the woods this time of year, you can hear the gunshots every time the wind blows. See mud in the moonlight glow. See the footprints in the snow. You're in Cain and Abel's Cove.
Hey everybody, this is TJ Cage with Nashville Entertainment Weekly.
Jill Santibanez and the lovely Ashley Steele.
Ashley, this is exciting to have you all the way from Plano, Texas into Nashville. We're backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, everybody.
It's amazing. Congratulations, by the way. I know your mom's here backstage and she's so excited for you. And is this your first time in Nashville, first time at the Opry?
This is my first time at the Opry. I actually lived here for 9 months.
Wow.
But I live in Los Angeles
You
now.
lived at the Grand Ole Opry?
I wish! The place is amazing.
I could live in this room. I've had apartments
It's
smaller
beautiful,
than this.
everybody.
So
It is.
gorgeous.
Let's talk about the show. We're just hours away, or we're minutes away from the sound check. We're hours away from going out on stage. Let's talk about it.
I'm in the Peppa Pig live tour, and we're going around the United States, which is so cool. I'm visiting...
Like a tour.
Yes! Oh,
Nice.
great! Like a tour!
Yeah.
But I'm visiting all these places that I've never been before, which has been a dream, but also to be on stages like the Grand Ole Opry.
Right.
It's so humbling. Just being here on this stage, though, I never in a million years thought I would be performing.
Yeah, what an honor.
It is such an honor, and but coming from a really hard journey to get here, it's I feel like I'm that much more grateful for this opportunity.
So your theaters, you can sing, you can play, you can do the whole thing, and you're in movies. Tell everybody where they can find you and keep up with you.
Thank you. You can go to ashleysteele.com. I pretty much have everything up there, but I also every day am on Instagram at
Perfect.
Ashley Steele, and I think it's really a great way to be able to connect
We
with
love
fans.
Instagram.
Yeah.
It took me 2 years to figure it
It's
out, and
so
that's my
great.
favorite. Yeah, I like it.
It's fun, so I post there every day, and
Good.
that's where you can find me.
And you've been, I know that this journey, really quick, this has been like an amazing journey for you, because you said in Los Angeles there were points where you didn't have it so great, like a tour like this.
No. Actually, last year this time I was being housed by friends and couldn't
Wow.
afford food, and but I had a dream, and I truly believe that it's important to never give up, and
So important.
I'm so glad
You're the
this is
example.
worth it.
This is how it happens, everybody, backstage at the Grand Ole
I
Opry.
can't believe it.
Exactly.
Self-surfing a
Look what
couple years ago, so here we are.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, this is TJ Cage with Nashville Entertainment Weekly. I'm with
Jill Santibanez, and look who we have today.
I'm Rick Revell.
Rick is right here in Nashville, Tennessee at
That's
In-House
right.
Creative Studios.
It's good to be here with you.
And we're going to
Thank
talk about the
you.
many talents of Rick Revell, y'all. This is kind of a lot. Get out your pen and paper, get your Googler out, get ready to go to the website. You're not going to believe what all this man accomplishes.
I know, so
in
many
1
things.
week.
Well-
Multi-talented, right? Not just a novelist, but also you have a background in music.
Yes,
And
I
now
do.
you're actually doing a show, which is fascinating. I don't know how you accomplish everything in this amount of time.
Well, you have to stay quite busy if you're going to try to make it in the entertainment world.
Yeah.
We actually called it edutainment.
Education.
It's kind of interesting. See, years ago I was in Nashville and began to work in the entertainment industry and songwriter, and I was singing. I started singing on some of the local shows at the time when I was 15.
Nice.
So I started doing all that. But by the time I got to be an elder teenager, about age 18 or 19, my history bug, it bit.
Yeah.
And I went on the bicentennial wagon train, went all the way from Memphis, Tennessee to Valley Forge, Pennsylvania.
Holy cow.
Went to Valley Forge where George Washington and the
my
troops
goodness,
held
you went
up.
all the way back.
And so it gave me that opportunity to really taste history. And so as I got older with my music, I got to thinking, well, there was a man by the name of Johnny Horton. He used to do the Battle of New Orleans and Sink the Bismarck and a lot
Okay.
of historical ballads.
Yeah.
Started out at doing rockabilly type of music or honky-tonk style music. But he switched over, and when he did the historical ballads, it just boomed. And so I
Funny.
kind of took that concept
Yeah.
and started working with it on my own music. So I started writing
Right.
ballads about history, and from that, a few years ago, I met a gentleman by the name of Tom McKinney, and he had written a biography about a gentleman by the name of Jack Henson. The story takes place in Stewart County, Tennessee, and that's little town of Dover, Tennessee is there.
There's also a military facility there called Fort Donaldson. It's now a national military park.
Right.
Wow.
And so Jack Henson lived in this area. And Tom wrote this biography about Jack Henson, and we became friends. I wrote a song about his book, and it's called The Ballad of Captain Jack, and we became friends after he invited me to go on the road with him and start promoting his book with the song. And so
That's so neat.
it's pretty cool. And so I wrote a movie script about his book, and when I did that, he said, can you take that movie script, can you convert that into a historic fiction novel? Well, when he said that, I said, historic fiction novel, what is that?
Yeah.
He said, well, that's where you take fiction and history and combine it together. So in the book, what I do, when the people have a conversation, the dialogue, that's the fiction. But the events that take place, what they get involved in, that's history. It's what actually happened to them. Jack has an interesting story. It's kind of a rags to riches story. When he first moved to Tennessee, he was broke as a church mouse, and he just didn't have the money hardly to survive. But by the time the war begins, he's a very wealthy man. So over a period of 30 years, he becomes a very wealthy man, owns several businesses in Dover. When the war begins, he is faced with a situation where, do I get involved? Do I support the Southern cause? Do I support the Northern cause? Do I remain neutral? He chose to remain neutral so his businesses would thrive. And that went well for a little while, but he met a group of men called the Irish Dragoons.
Oh, they sound tough.
The Irish Dragoons, they were so bad. How bad were they? They were so bad that their captain, Captain Naughton, they were called Naughton's Irish Dragoons. Within a year's time, he left and went back to St. Louis, where they came from,
Oh, goodness.
with a nervous breakdown, literally. He could not control the men. They drank all the time. They were constantly in trouble with the provost marshal. But one of the people they did not like was Jack Henson. They did not like the Henson family at all. So a vendetta begins to grow, and before long, they wind up murdering two of Jack's sons.
Ooh.
Sad.
And after that happens, Jack Henson goes, and he has a special built rifle. It was built down in Lewis County, Tennessee, a little town called Newburgh. Carries the gun back home, and he begins to alleviate the problem. He takes the gentleman that killed his sons, he gets
Takes
revenge.
care of them. Yeah.
Gets revenge, and he kills all the men. It was about 15 of them, kills all those men.
He was on a mission.
Then he becomes a wanted man, and after becoming a wanted man, bounty hunters came after him, other Union patrols came after him, and before the war ends, he kills 130 men.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, with that
Wow.
one. That
And all
special
that's
made
right
rifle.
here in the pages of this book that's
Yeah.
out now available at rickrebel.com.
RickRebel.com, and it's full of artwork and vintage photos. The front cover, I did the front cover and the back cover, so that's some of my artwork.
Man.
So I do artwork as well. There's 25 of my pieces in there. Then Andy Thomas,
Incredible.
we have some of his artwork in it. And plus there's some vintage photos from the
Very
Library
cool.
of Congress.
And you're currently on a book tour for this,
Oh yeah, I'm doing a book
right?
tour. We're going to be doing a book signing in Dixon, Tennessee on the 15th of November.
Just 30 miles
Nice.
west of Nashville on I-40, everybody.
Very close by.
Yep, so we'll be there on the 15th. We'll be down in Murfreesboro, Tennessee on the 23rd of November, down at the Sam Davis home. And I believe it's the 7th and 8th of December in Franklin, Tennessee at the Mid-South Civil War Show. We'll be there the whole weekend doing a book signing at Mike Kent's Civil War Show there.
So if you look at this body of the social media text, you can see a click, and it's going to take you to those locations. And you're always going to go to rickrebel.com.
Oh, yeah.
Follow what you're doing. Okay, let's take a minute real
Right.
quick, and let's talk about everything else that you're doing. Let's briefly cover that, because you have a new show that's becoming
History Highway, yes, sir. Back about a year ago, Ken Andrist approached me to do a documentary on the book, and we developed a friendship, and he wanted to take not only and do some things about Jack Henson's story, but as we began to do some tourism videos for Stewart County, he began to see the love and the passion for history that I possessed, and he said, could we
your
do that?
knowledge. Your knowledge.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
said, could you put that in a television show? And I said, well, actually, I wrote a draft for a show many moons ago for PBS, and at that time I had a different name attached to it. And he said, well, could you kind of come up with a different name for it? And I said, well, yeah. And I said, what about History Highway? Because it's a travel show.
You're really
Of
good with
course.
titles.
And I wanted to make it something to where it's a variety. you'll have me singing about the Queen of the Mississippi, which is a riverboat. So I'll be singing about that, but also tell you the history behind the boat and behind the river town where the boat docks. So I'll tell you those things. I'll talk to you about Fort Donaldson.
Fort Donaldson?
Yeah, Fort Donaldson, where Jack was involved at some of the things during the battle that took place there. He liked the whole idea of taking that and incorporating it into a show. So episode 1, I said, well, if it's going to be a travel show, I want it to be different. I don't want it to be like every other show that you see on the History Channel, where you travel around the country picking out antiques, and it's always about picking out antiques. Or you go to a pawn shop, and it's always about pawn items. Or you go about counting cars, and it's always about counting cars. And you're not really covering vast amounts of history. It's very narrow. So what if I'm driving a 55 Chevy?
A yellow one?
A yellow one, canary yellow.
Nice.
It's a gorgeous car.
Beautiful.
And she'll squall the tires.
I bet you will.
And
Only one.
Yes. And we're going to take the car, and we're going to drive it from point A to point B. And every time we go past a historical marker, we'll stop there. And that won't be constantly historical marker after historical marker. But for instance, like Camp Tyson I mentioned earlier to you. Camp Tyson now is just a big cornfield. But during World War II, 24,000 men trained there to fly the barrage balloons.
Wow.
How about that?
And these are the barrage balloons that flew over Omaha Beach. So in the little town
Right there.
of Paris, Tennessee, that's where those 24,000 men trained. Plus there were Italian and German prisoners held there.
Did not know that.
Just little bits of American history that's vanished.
Yeah.
And that's what we're capitalizing on, is those bits and pieces of history that have vanished, completely annihilated. Because as the pages turn in American history, we forget. We forget so quickly, is the old saying, and we do. And so I want to take and back up the clock a little bit. We go to the Henry County Courthouse, and I'm standing in front of the memorial there. That's for the World War II memorial. And I bring up the subject of Memorial Day. Memorial Day has an interesting beginning. Now, a lot of people credit John A. Logan, which was a Union general, for that. He was at that time, during the mid-1800s, the head of a group called the Grand Army of the Republic. But he actually borrowed the idea from a group of ladies in Columbus, Georgia. So actually Memorial Day, which started out as Decoration Day, started in the South. And so we tell that story. It's called Back to the Fact.
So you're just a historian that actually knows the facts, and you're telling it through your music, through your films, through your television, and your book.
And it's entertainment.
On a hunting trip heading to their deer stands, both brothers had the same evil plan, to kill the other and blame it on an accident. 2 shots rang out and both brothers fell. The tree saw it all, but they'll never tell how the cove got its name and their spirits still walk these hills. Legend has it, if you come out here in the woods this time of year, you can hear the gunshots every time the wind blows. See the mud in the moonlight glow, see the footprints in the snow. You're in Cain and Abel's